Welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe and dive into stories that'll stay with you long after the video ends. Let's begin. Buthu. Church was silent, not the quiet kind that feels peaceful. This was the kind that pressed against the walls, heavy and waiting as if the air itself held its breath. Amelia stood at the altar, bouquet trembling just slightly in her hands. The lace of her dress brushed against her knees as she shifted her weight. Her mother's eyes glistened from the front row. Her father's jaw was tight. The organist's fingers hovered above the keys, and opposite her, Daniel, her groom. The man she'd fallen in love with 2 years ago on a rain-soaked night, when his umbrella had blown inside out, and he'd laughed instead of cursing. That laugh had been the start of everything. Now as she looked at him, something inside her faltered. He wasn't smiling. Not really. His lips were curved, but his eyes were somewhere else entirely. Distant, guarded. The priest began to speak, his words blending into a soft hum that echoed through the chapel. Amelia heard them, but they felt far away. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a movement, a figure slipping quietly into the back pews. A woman. Dark coat, dark hair, sunglasses despite the shadowed light. She didn't sit with the other guests. She stood for a moment, scanning the room as if searching for someone, and then her gaze found Daniel. Even from across the aisle, Amelia felt it, the jolt that passed between them. Daniel froze. Just a fraction of a second, but it was enough. The woman tilted her head slightly as if confirming something and then sat down, silent, still, almost invisible. The priest's voice grew clearer again, pulling Amelia back. "Do you, Amelia Grace Bennett, take this man?" Her throat tightened. Something was wrong. Daniel's hands twitched at his sides. He looked at her now, but too intently, like he was trying to will her to just keep going. Her heart pounded. She tried to smile. She tried to remember every reason she loved him. The way he made coffee for her before work. The way he kissed her forehead when she fell asleep on the couch. But that woman's face wouldn't leave her mind. Who was she? The scent of lilies felt suddenly too sweet. The lights too bright, Daniel's gaze too sharp, her lips parted, ready to speak her vows. And then another sound, a faint chime from her phone tucked inside her maid of honor's clutch at the side of the aisle. Everyone heard it. A soft buzz, then a second chime. The maid of honor blushed, fumbling to silence it, but the name on the screen caught Amelia's eye. It glowed bright and unmistakable from the distance. Daniel Cole, new message. Amelia blinked. Her groom had just texted someone. During their wedding? And worse, his phone was in his pocket. She turned toward him fully, her pulse thundering in her ears. "Daniel," she whispered. "Who are you texting right now?" The church went completely still. Daniel's face drained of color. His mouth opened, then closed again. It's nothing," he stammered, barely audible. "It's just work." "Something from work? In the middle of our wedding?" Amelia's voice shook. A few guests exchanged nervous glances. The priest cleared his throat, unsure whether to continue. Daniel forced a smile. "It's a misunderstanding, sweetheart. Please, let's just keep going." But Amelia's eyes had already darted toward the back of the church. The woman in the dark coat had stood again, slowly, purposefully, and this time she was walking down the aisle. Each step echoed against the marble floor, heels clicking like a countdown. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Someone gasped. The priest stepped back. The woman stopped just 3 rows from the front. Then she spoke, her voice low but clear enough for everyone to hear. "Daniel Cole." Daniel's shoulders stiffened. "You didn't tell her, did you?" Amelia's breath caught. "Tell me what?" The woman took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were cold, sharp gray, the kind that carried storms inside them. "Tell her about me." Daniel's hand shot up. "Stop it, please," but the woman only smiled, small and cruel. "You promised, Daniel. You said you'd tell her before the wedding. You said you'd be honest." Amelia's bouquet slipped from her hands. "Who are you?" Silence. The woman hesitated, then said, "Someone who used to wear a ring just like yours." The words fell like glass. Gasps broke from the guests. Amelia stared between them. Her voice cracked. "You're saying you were married? To him?" Daniel reached for her hand. "Amelia, please let me explain." "Explain what?" she demanded. "That you're still texting her?" That she's here? The woman's laugh was bitter. Texting me? He's been living a double life, sweetheart. He didn't just text me. He stayed with me. Every sound vanished. The world narrowed to the beating in Amelia's ears. That's not true, Daniel snapped, his composure fracturing. You're lying, Claire. You're trying to ruin this, Claire. The name struck something deep. Amelia had heard it before. A voice on late-night calls Daniel always brushed off as a client issue. Now she saw it. The late work nights, the locked phone, the unreturned questions. Claire looked at her not with malice but with pity. He told me he'd lost everything, that you didn't understand him, that he was just helping me get back on my feet. Amelia's knees trembled. Why are you here? Because, Claire said softly, I found out he never left you. And when I tried to end it, he sent me this. She held up her phone. On the screen glowed a message time-stamped just 10 minutes ago. I wish it were you at the altar. Amelia stepped back, her vision blurring. The world tilted. Daniel reached for her again, but she pulled away. Her bouquet petals scattered across the floor like broken promises. Rain hammered against the stained glass windows as the doors burst open and guests spilled out in confusion. The ceremony had dissolved into chaos. The priest had vanished somewhere behind the pulpit. Amelia stood just inside the doorway, dress heavy, hands trembling. Daniel followed her out. His tie hung loose now, his face pale. Please, he begged. Amelia, it's not what it looks like. She turned slowly. Then what is it? He hesitated, then sighed, a defeated sound. Claire and I, it was over. Months ago, I swear. I just didn't tell you because I knew it would hurt you. Because you knew you'd lose me, she whispered. He looked down. Didn't deny it, outside thunder cracked. The guests huddled under umbrellas, murmuring like ghosts in the rain. Why did you message her today? She asked, voice raw. Daniel swallowed hard. I panicked. I thought if she came here, I needed to calm her down. I didn't mean that message the way it sounded. Amelia stared. You texted another woman you wish it were her on our wedding day, and you think it's about context? His eyes glistened. Amelia, please. I made mistakes, but I love you. I've always loved you. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to close the distance, to erase the humiliation. The eyes watching from behind the rain-streaked glass. But something deeper had broken, something that words couldn't mend. Claire appeared in the doorway behind them, rainwater dripping from her coat. Tell her the rest, Daniel. He turned sharply. Enough, Claire. No, she said. You don't get to silence me anymore. Amelia's pulse quickened. The rest? Claire's eyes softened. He told me you were pregnant. Amelia froze. What? Claire looked confused. He said you lost the baby. That's why you were distant, Daniel's face blanched. Daniel? He opened his mouth, closed it again. I made that up, made it up? Amelia's voice cracked. You invented a dead child to, what? Gain sympathy from her? Daniel's voice broke. I didn't know what else to say. I was spiraling, Amelia. She threatened to tell you everything, and so you lied again. Rain poured harder. The church bells began to toll somewhere distant, muffled by the storm. Amelia stared at the man she'd almost married and saw not her fiancé, but a stranger. A liar painted in love's disguise. Claire's voice was quieter now. He told me he couldn't let you go because you reminded him of the life he wanted. And he couldn't let me go because I reminded him of who he really was. Amelia stepped back. And who is that, Daniel? He had no answer. The thunder rolled. The last petals from her bouquet washed down the steps in the rain. Hours later, the reception hall stood empty. The string lights flickered over tables strewn with untouched champagne flutes and wilting roses. Amelia sat alone at the head table, still in her gown, fingers tracing the edge of her engagement ring. Daniel was gone, escorted out by her father after the storm. Claire, too. Only silence remained. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the mirrored wall across from her. Pale, haunted, unrecognizable. She remembered the first time. Daniel had said, I love you. It was in his small apartment, a place filled with books and unfinished paintings. He'd looked at her like she was the only thing in the room that mattered. Had that ever been real? The door creaked behind her. Claire stepped inside, holding a soaked envelope. I shouldn't be here, she said softly. But you deserve to see this. Amelia didn't move. What is it? It's the truth. She handed over the envelope. Inside were printed emails, dozens of them. Conversations between Daniel and Claire stretching back a year. The early ones were flirty, then secretive, then desperate, and then something darker. Amelia read the last one aloud, barely breathing. If she finds out about the account, we both lose everything. I'll fix it before the wedding. Her blood ran cold. Account? Claire nodded. He used my name to open it. Offshore, money from his company hidden under shell payments. I didn't understand at first. When I tried to cut ties, he begged me to keep quiet. Amelia's hands shook. So all of this wasn't just about love? No, Claire said. It was about hiding. He needed someone to cover the trail. Amelia stood, fury rising in her chest. He used both of us, Claire nodded. And he'll do it again if he can. The sound of footsteps echoed outside. Daniel. He entered slowly, drenched and desperate. Amelia, please, just hear me out. I can explain. She turned, holding the emails like evidence. You stole from your company, Daniel? His face tightened. It's not what you think. You said that already, she spat. At the altar. In the rain. How many versions of the truth do you have? He took a step closer. I did it for us. For the life we were building. You did it for yourself. Lightning flashed, casting his shadow long and broken across the wall. He reached out, voice trembling. I was going to fix everything, Amelia. Tonight, I swear. She stared into his eyes, and for a fleeting moment, she saw the man she had loved, buried beneath fear and lies. Then she said quietly, You already fixed it. You showed me who you really are, he froze. His shoulders sagged. When she walked past him toward the door, the hem of her gown brushed against his shoes. Neither looked back. The next morning broke clean and cold. The storm had passed, leaving the world scrubbed and silent. Amelia stood by the lake behind her parents' house, barefoot, holding her wedding ring between two fingers. The reflection of the sky shimmered across the water, gray and endless. She thought of the altar, of Daniel's eyes when the truth unraveled, of the way her heart had fractured, not from betrayal alone, but from the realization that love, without honesty, is only an illusion dressed in white. She closed her fingers around the ring. It felt heavy now. Claire's car pulled up behind her. The woman stepped out dressed simply, no trace of the bitterness from before. I came to say goodbye, Claire said. Amelia nodded. Where will you go? Somewhere new, she replied. Start over. Maybe learn to stop falling for men who need saving. A small, sad laugh escaped both of them. Claire hesitated. For what it's worth, I think he did love you, in his own broken way. Amelia stared at the lake. Maybe, but love isn't enough when it hides behind lies. They stood in silence for a moment, the kind that feels almost sacred. Then Claire turned and left, her footsteps fading into the morning mist. Alone again, Amelia walked to the edge of the dock. She looked at the ring one last time. I do, she whispered. Not to Daniel, but to herself. I do promise to never lose myself again. And she let it fall. The ring hit the water with barely a sound, sinking slowly until it vanished beneath the ripples. For the first time since the altar, Amelia felt the air fill her lungs completely. The weight was gone. In the distance, church bells began to ring again, soft, distant, like an echo from another life. She turned back toward the path, sunlight breaking through the clouds, brushing her hair with gold. Every step she took felt lighter, every breath truer, because sometimes the vows that go unspoken, the promises made in silence, are the ones that save you. As she walked away, a new sound caught her ear. A phone notification. Her own this time. An email. The sender, Daniel Cole. Subject line, for Amelia before you decide. Her heart thudded once, twice. She opened it. It was a single paragraph. You were right. I became the man I swore I'd never be. I'm turning myself in. I needed you to know it wasn't your fault. Loving you was the only honest thing I ever did. She read it twice, then closed the phone slowly. A tear slid down her cheek, not from sorrow but release. Amelia looked back toward the water, whispered goodbye, and walked forward. The path ahead unfolding bright and clean, and somewhere behind her, beneath the calm surface of the lake, the ring rested quietly, Proof that sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself again. Thanks for watching.